What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to look better, feel better, do better, mostly feel better every damn day of their lives. And our Tuesday night show brought to you by our friends at Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar. Cool event going on at Front 43 and Cask & Company, event they've been a part of a long time and happy to do again. Breweries versus Frostbite. That is November 22nd. 5 p.m. on, featuring 10 local breweries, over 20 beers. Bring your unused gloves, winter hats, coats, socks, blankets. Help people out who need them. Breweries versus Frostbite, November 22nd at 5 p.m. at Cask & Company and Front 43, just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing, and that is near the Lansing-East Lansing border. Great chance to have a drink there, have a meal there, and just check out the vibe. Jason, how you doing, man?
What's up, man? Did you vote today?
I did.
Did you tweet out your sticker?
I didn't.
That you have it?
I didn't. I did not do it.
I voted for you today. I wrote you in on it was one of the Ovids. Like I don't trust anyone in Ovid to run anything. So I was like, I'm just gonna write in Couch and see what happens. There's no way that you would be able to know that you got to vote, right?
Am I like the drain commissioner? No, you didn't.
Yeah, it was the county commissioner, and I'm like, I don't know any of these people. They think backward ass. I'm not gonna vote for any of these people.
I would happily come to Ovid, Clinton County, and run the commission. I would do it.
I don't even know what that entails. That's why. Why am I voting on it? Let's write Couch in.
Well, I am actually a proponent of that. If you don't know anything, don't just vote for somebody randomly.
I can't just because I like their name because it says Joey Bobby Danielson or something. I'm like, I don't know who that is.
I always vote for Pat Zarkowski, the former Kalamazoo Gazette news editor for the Wayne State Board of Trustees.
Dude, Barry Sanders got to write in. Eric Kramer got to write in today.
No, I feel less special. But,
well, you were first.
Oh, thanks.
That was like the school board stuff. I put Barry and Eric Kramer on.
It'd be amazing if it's me, Barry, and Eric Kramer now running Ovid.
And you had to do it.
Yeah. There's no.
If you're voted in.
And there's some sort of glitch in the system. Nobody else's votes went through. Just Jason's. Tremendous.
Yeah. So, Tremendous. I voted.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I didn't vote on stuff I didn't know about.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good. I think this is going to be a fun show tonight, by the way. It's our last show of the week, so we're going to have a little bit of a mix.
See, you say that, but we're doing a Sunday show. Does that not count as this week?
Well, that's next week. That's coming out. That's in the next week. I consider Sunday the beginning of the week.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Because it's still in this week period.
But it kind of replaced the Monday show, which would have been in next week. So you know what I mean? Like,
all right. Just let me know when I have to be here.
Yeah, Sunday night, next one.
Okay.
And there are going to be a few of those this week, obviously, with this month with the basketball schedule being the way it is. And so we're going to do some Twitter questions later on, which will be fun. We'll have Harry on in a bit and pick the games as well. And before we do that, though, there are a couple things to get to, a couple things to talk about. One was, and I think sort of the weird news of the day, was a lawyer from Los Angeles by the name of David Diamond, who's representing one of the MSU players.
Triple D.
And I met David D. Diamond, by the way. He's
no Jeffrey Feiger.
He's a friend of Joe Rexrode's. I think they went to MSU together. And I met him at the Rose Bowl, and I think I met him one other time. I've definitely had drinks with the man at one point. He's a legitimate attorney. He just needs a copy editor. And look, one of the things, if you look, there's an initial release, and he sent out another one that's better. It's awful. It's just not good. And one of the things I learned, my wife spent 1 year outside of journalism, and she was the communications director for the State Bar of Michigan. And I would hear from her all the time. She's like, it is amazing. Lawyers cannot write. They're horrible communicators. Now, that's not all of them. There are lots of smart lawyers. I know lots of journalists who went and got law degrees. There are a lot. That's a broad brush. But there are a lot of attorneys who cannot construct a sentence or write anything interesting or whatever. And this actually was sort of interesting. So if you're unaware what it's about, this was a news alert, we were told. I love that at the top of the press release. Newly retained counsel for MSU football player determines that Michigan player started the altercation as well as discovering major security failures in Ann Arbor. The quote, the media has taken the bait from a coach and master victim and his howls at the moon. From the attorney here.
All right.
We have learned that the U of M player started the altercation. Eyewitnesses have described it as charging with his helmet and throwing a punch, said attorney David Diamond. He continued. You don't need it. He continued there. We'll work on that with him later. The justice system is designed for impartiality, which David, an MSU grad, clearly is. The repeated Hail to the Victims song and dance does not contribute to the fact-finding mission. Where were the screams from Ann Arbor to criminally charge Coach Howard with assault or Devin Bush with a felony vandalism? The silence palpitating. The hypocrisy is painful. While we acknowledge wrongdoing by all parties, this is not an incident that warrants criminal charges being filed. We have seen similar behavior and even worse on the gridiron, and suddenly, because it happens in a tunnel, known for incompetent security and poor post-game management, there are calls for criminal charges. My client is a young man who responded to the situation before him. Anyway, it goes on a little bit, but the
that's pretty good.
It's dramatic.
Yeah.
Look, I don't think anybody.
That's what lawyers do, right? I mean, are we shocked?
Yeah, and look, people are saying this doesn't help, and I don't think it helps. It's not. But neither does Tom Mars. You basically have a Michigan slappy and a Michigan State slappy with law degrees representing the interest of two different sides, basically saying the other is in the wrong. And there are elements of this that may be true. Like, we don't know yet what precipitated, what sparked everything in the tunnel. What truly did. Was
Solari, probably. I'm guessing.
Solari it was all a misnomer. Solari actually ran into the players, bumped into them accidentally. They turned around. The Michigan player was there. They thought it was him, and the whole thing.
So if this goes to trial, Solari will be called as a witness.
Solari is like
oh my God, please let this happen.
Solari is like Miss O'Leary's cow in the Chicago fire. No, started the fire, kicked over the lantern.
Oh.
No, I'm just anyway. The here's the thing. It's unnecessary, all of this, because it's not going to matter. And eventually some of this is going to come out what happened. I do think, he has a point, and people have a point, that there's no doubt that Jim Harbaugh and Ward Manuel, I think, overstepped a little in the way they portrayed everything at the beginning. And also just the way that they were demanding of charges. That's the thing that bothered me of the Michigan State players without having all the information. And we still don't have all the information. Just because David D. Diamond puts out a release does not mean we have all the information at this point. And I do think there are lots of things, like if there are fines, and I think there will be for both schools, I think both schools will get fined. If there's a lawsuit, it's going nowhere because Michigan would have to be involved in it just as well. So I don't think Tom Marsden is going to be able to sue Michigan State only.
But is this those lawyers just trying to get their name out there? I think we're talking about them right now. So even if it doesn't go to court or anything, these guys still win.
These are people with law degrees. These are lawyers, and not unaccomplished lawyers. But I'm just saying these are lawyers that feel the way fans do about this, and these are lawyers that basically, like many people who exist on social media, but have law degrees and have the ability to try to take a side. I mean, Tom Mars is essentially Scott Bell, right? I mean, David Diamond is the MSU side of what
Johnny Spirit.
I don't know if it's Johnny Spirit, but it's yeah. So that's where that is. I don't take anything from it. I mean, we all know that something precipitated that. You don't just. I really highly doubt words alone led to repeated hits with a helmet. Maybe it was, but I'm going to wait for other findings before I react to that. And is any gospel? I will say this: people are saying, the video doesn't show any of that. Well, the video doesn't show everything conclusively. Otherwise, we would have all the answers. The video doesn't show what precipitated it, what sparked it. So, anyway, that was today partly. Also, want to talk some MSU hoops because
coach my team.
Last night's Michigan State opener I thought was
Big Ten plus. How about that?
Yeah, but for the people who get to do Big Ten plus, they get the one regular season game a year. I mean, it's not great for fans, but I felt good for the broadcasters.
I mean, Yeah, I mean, I know it's northern Arizona, but I mean, I'm just $10 a month for that product. I can't do it.
Yeah, my advice to people now, it might not be to do it because that game's over. But if you're going to pay for 1 month,
do they give you a free trial where you can just watch that game? I didn't even look to attempt.
There's a bunch you could watch for a month and see what else is on. There's a bunch of hockey on. There's a bunch of other things, other events, and you could see volleyball. You can see a lot of things. So it might be worth seeing whether it be worth your time for a month, especially if if you're going to get a men's basketball regular season game out of it. At this point, I don't know that I would go that route unless you're going to be watching hockey or something else on it. I thought Michigan State played fairly well. They played like a team that gave a shit, and they should always give a shit. But what I mean is it didn't matter that it was Northern Arizona. It looked like it was a big deal to Michigan State, and I thought there were a number of things that were promising. There was nothing that was a giant red flag, and that's what you're looking for early on. When you're playing a low-major program, is there something you go – because there were things early on against Grand Valley that you thought, boy, are these guys just not that good? Is rebounding going to be a huge problem? It still might be, but rebounding was not the red flag against Northern Arizona that it looked like for a while against Grand Valley. And I thought defensively, Tyson Walker was incredible. I think they've got a backcourt that has a chance to be really, really good there. Trey Holloman is an important piece and a nice find because what ultimately he's able to do, and I think ahead of schedule, ahead of what they thought this year, when they get in foul trouble or when A.J. Hogarth's a little out of control, which is still going to happen, it happened at times last night, they can turn to him, and he's fine out there. He looks like he belongs. He's looked like he belonged every time I've seen him in practice or either of these two games. Now we'll see when they step it up on the aircraft carrier on Friday. That's why we don't have a show later in the week, by the way. I'll be out in San Diego. But
don't hear you complaining about that.
I'm not, although it's going to be like warmer here. It's kind of a weird dynamic.
Still.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
It's cool. Taking my wife to San Diego. Life does not suck. I'm not complaining about that. I'm watching an outdoor game on an aircraft carrier that very few people have a chance to go.
It's going to be really windy.
I mean, I'll find a way to complain about something. But,
exactly.
but no. I would.
The food here is suspect.
I will not. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be incredible. And I think it's going to be fun for those guys. There are very few events, too, that happen with big-time college basketball players where you can tell they're overly excited about the experience. You can tell talking to the MSU players, like, they're really, really sort of excited about this. This is one of those.
How could you not be, though? It's going to be wild. I mean, just imagine playing on an aircraft carrier.
Very few people get to do it. It's been a decade since MSU did. A bunch of them after that failed because of the weather.
Well, let me ask you. I didn't watch the game, but I was following, the Solari tweeting out stuff. But I also saw people tweeting out about how disappointed they were in this game. Is that true? Is there something that happened in this game? I know in the second half, looking at the box score, 39-35. But other than that, I mean, it seemed like they played pretty well, right?
There were moments they lost a little zest, but I didn't think, like, a lot of things you got to like. Joey Hauser has 18 points, takes more than, like 11 shots or whatever. He's a willing shooter.
Don't dribble. Willing
to step into a shot. Well, he did it off the bounce, too. I thought they've got a number of guys who can shoot off the bounce. Pierre Brooks hits 4 of 5 threes. Like, again, it's against a low major. But he hadn't done that, period, at MSU. Those are things you want to see happen. You want to see the ball go in. You want to see things you're hoping happen before you face Gonzaga and Kentucky and Villanova, right? And you need them to happen. There were lots of things they needed to get out of the way. They needed Jaden Akins to return. I thought that was incredibly important because he played 16 minutes. He played pretty well. You can tell he's a little out of sync on certain things. Like he fell for a pump fake where he nearly took the guy out, and he was just pissed at himself. He hadn't played a lot of basketball in 6 weeks. And better to sort of work him back in that game than doing it on Friday night.
What about Matty Sissoko? Because I know people are concerned so far. What do you think? Did he show you anything last night?
To me, like,
or is it Kohler?
No. Matty's gonna play a lot because I think physically, defensively, and other things, he's a little more ready in certain ways defensively, and he played okay. And the one thing I thought was real important for Matty, offensively, is he gets a mismatch on a 5'9" guard. They throw it to him in the post, and he hits a turnaround jump shot from about 8 feet. And that's the sort of stuff that Matt Costello would have missed until his senior year. That's the sort of stuff that Aloysius Anaganye never would have made. Like, the fact that he's not in that moment like, oh, crap, I suck at this. Doesn't matter how small this guy is. He turned around. He was buried. He looked good doing it. He's got a lot of confidence right now in his game. Now, we'll see if he keeps it up. Kohler is going to be interesting because he's got a lot of skill, and he sees the floor well. Sometimes he doesn't. He thinks he can score, and he needs to pass, and Izzo got on him about that yesterday. But offensively, he eventually he could create problems. I don't know that he's going to do it early for people. It was interesting talking to him about playing Drew Timme, and he's a West Coast kid. So he's watched Gonzaga and Drew Timme a lot, and he talked about it. Like, he knows his game, and he's going to watch him and scout him a lot. Like, I'm very curious to see Jackson Kohler's response, because I think he's a high IQ player against really good bigs, how much he scouts them, how much he puts himself in a position to have a chance. And I think we're going to learn that about him pretty quickly here. Overall, I think A.J. Hoggard had the type of game that a year ago I would have praised him for, but I'm critical of him now because I think he's shown more than that. And while he had like 8 assists and 3 turnovers, the 3 turnovers were all avoidable and sort of memorable. And although the whole team overall did not have that as a huge problem, I thought Tyson Walker, to me, defensively, what he did, I think will translate. I think they're going to be really strong in the backcourt. Malik Hall showed some edge, has a block from behind and then stands over a guy and flexes. Like that, they need that stuff. They need people who
You're allowed to do that in college basketball?
You're not. He's lucky he didn't get a technical.
Oh.
But
I know that you can't get away with that in college football.
That technical would have been worth it, though. They need Malik Hall's a really nice kid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, anybody would like hanging out with Malik Hall. But
it's just they need a little swagger.
They need a little less nice. And you don't want, when games are close, you do not want technical fouls. But you want that edge from Malik Hall, and to me, however you get it, is important because he is your leader. He's your captain. I think it's important. I think people feed off him a little bit.
And I think it's something that you can do in moderation. You don't have to sit there every time and try to risk a technical foul to get your guys pumped. But, yeah, it's just about don't be so nice like you just said.
Yeah, no,
that's all we ask.
It's all you ask. It's all you ask. I mean, you can be nice later. Everybody, I mean,
after the game, swap jerseys.
Get a little Skymint maybe, By the way, speaking of Skymint opening a new store in Grand Rapids this Thursday at 2900 Division Street Avenue South, and they're doing a grand opening event, and they're going to have donuts there beginning at 9 a.m., not groovy donuts, but still donuts, so they're still good. They're just not groovy donuts. And Skymint Reserve gift bags, including a free pre-roll and other giveaways with a minimum purchase of $25. You can go check out the new beautiful Grand Rapids Skymint location and get amazing deals on their cannabis products in all sorts of categories. And again, that is this Thursday all day at the beginning at 9 a.m. at the new Skymint in Grand Rapids, one of many locations. Chances are you live within half an hour of Skymint. And they've also got a promotion. Their free weed sale has been extended until November 14th. It's a buy 2, get 1 free on select Skymint brand items. All sorts of cool stuff at whatever Skymint you're at. If you've never been to a Skymint, go to skymint.com for location information, and you can use the Couch and the Rube promo code CouchandRube20 for 20% off. One more basketball note that I think will make people happy. Tomorrow, signing day. Xavier Booker is going to sign. I think Carr is going to sign on later, a couple days later, as an event or something.
Should we be nervous?
No, he's got an event. I don't know whether, these schools never put it together well. But I think Booker is at least signing tomorrow. And I think if one thing, when you start to look at this MSU basketball roster and this particular freshman class and and you can start to see how this could be a group that's together for a minute and has a decent run. I don't know if it's next year. I don't know if this is a 2-year group because I don't know who's coming back. Like, are you getting another year out of Tyson Walker? You probably got another year to A.J. Hoggard, depending what kind of year he has, which would help immensely. You've certainly got Pierre Brooks back, Jaden Aiken. So it could be a really nice team a year from now. I'm feeling okay after watching last night about my my man bra thing. And I think you're going to have Keon Coleman on the team. He was asked today at MSU football availability about that. If he was going to play. And originally he said it was football season, but then he basically gave away he's planning to play hoops. I mean, that kid loves hoops. There's just no way. And I guarantee you he thinks this year, knowing what he knows, knowing the system, knowing what college basketball is, knowing that they've got a smaller roster, that he can carve out a role for himself on the team. And it would help him, frankly, if they didn't go to a bowl game. And he could join the team at the beginning of December instead of the beginning of January. But the other interesting thing about Coleman that was brought up today by Peyton Thorne, who said that corner from Illinois was the best kid he's ever faced. But Illinois put him, their best corner, their NFL corner, on Keon Coleman the whole game and not Jaden Reed, which is fascinating. That's sort of a new development that they're going to have to deal with Keon Coleman. It should open Reed up a little bit for the rest of the year, and they're not going to face another kid like that. But I thought that was a somewhat interesting dynamic. So
Peacock.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, we are going to take a quick break here, and then we'll have Harry on and pick the games, and after that, we'll get into your groovy donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company.
Where else can you cheer on your team? Enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi. Sip on handcrafted cocktails or one of 46 beers on tap. Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with one awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing. Wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double-brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com. Firekeepers Online Casino and Sportsbook is the site to play. Get your Vegas on right now from your phone, tablet, or laptop. All the hottest slots and tables, plus sports betting featuring in-game wagering. Download the app at firekeeperscasino.com. Go with the name you know. Firekeepers. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 or older and located in Michigan. Gambling problem? Call the Michigan Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-270-7117. Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan, and use the promo code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Skymint Cannabis. You'll love this place.
Find Couch in the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite podcast addict.
It is time for our Hopcat interview of the week, which this week is our friend Harry Gagnon, and we have every week. Hopcat, of course, the best damn beer bar, world-famous Cosmic Fries, mouth-watering, award-winning burgers. And one thing they do very, very well, obviously, is the carefully curated craft beer list from local partners. Doesn't matter which Hopcat location you are at. You can be in Lansing, Ann Arbor, Indianapolis, Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo. It'll feel like a local brew pub. And as we transition to basketball season here, a great place to watch MSU basketball, say this Friday night, or MSU football on Saturday. Go to hopcat.com for location information around you. Now time to bring on, of course, Harry Gagnon from Against All Odds with Cousin Sal, Best Bet Corner, and ExtraPoints.com. Harry, how you doing, brother?
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Doing well. It's good to have you. And you feeling better? You sound better than you did a week ago.
Sound a
little bit better. Yes. I tested negative this morning, so thank God. All right, we're almost there.
Awesome. Good to hear. Yeah. All right, let's dig into these games. Let's start with the NFL games first. A game early Sunday. Before we get to the Lions here, Seattle 2.5 at Tampa Bay, or versus Tampa Bay. Seattle's still getting no respect, and I know Tampa finally won. I love Seattle. I'm going to ride this team until Vegas and the bettors and the money follows, and give me all the Kenneth Walker prop bets I can get. Give me Seattle as an underdog for sure. I'll probably buy the half point up to 3 if you can get it there, but I'm on Seattle. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, if this game were in Tampa, I would probably pick the Buccaneers, but I like the way Seattle's playing Geno Smith, Kenneth Walker III, so give me Seattle plus the points. What do you got, Harry?
Boy, guys, I'll tell you what, that Rams-Tampa Bay game last week, was that a hard watch or what? I mean...
Well, we watched the Lions, too. So it's tough.
But I will say this, and Graham, Jay just said he listened to Against All Odds today, and Sal a couple times was ripping me a little bit. But you know what? He's making fun of me because instead of no shot, I got Geno Smith at 100-1 for MVP. He said he's got no shot, but meanwhile he's down to 25-1. Guy's playing flawless. I mean, he's the best quarterback by far right now in the NFC West division. And I'm gonna take Seattle. Kenneth Walker is a beast.
Kenneth Walker is. I mean, I think people are realizing what MSU fans realized last year, and it explains so much. So hard to bring down. Such a complete running back.
Graham, you just said so hard to bring down. He breaks tackles constantly.
Yeah. No.
When did you place this Geno Smith bet?
About a week ago.
Oh, okay. Good. Okay. Wow, that's great. I wish I had gotten on the Kenneth Walker Rookie of the Year earlier. I threw a little on it. There's not a whole lot of value left because at this point it's almost even money, and he could.
But at the beginning
of
the season, we didn't know. We saw Geno Smith. We thought the Seahawks were going to rebuild, so it's kind of hard before the season.
Right.
Everybody had the Seahawks finishing last in that division. Everybody.
This is why it's so hard to bet and know the NFL.
Carroll.
But you got to trust your eyes at a certain point. Seattle's been good. This is why you get on the Kenneth Walker train now. You get on Seattle now. You see what he does for a team, and Geno's been good. Tampa is a favorite here in a game that none of those guys want to play in all the way in Munich, I think it is, or wherever it is in Germany. And because of Tom Brady's name, because of the brand, Seattle is, to this point this year, been a by far better team. I'm going to trust my eyes on this one. All right, big game of the week. Surprise it's not a national game that was flexed to the evening, but Lions +3 at the Bears. And I like what I've seen from the Bears lately. Obviously, the Lions won a big game against Green Bay, I guess, by not playing that well. It's just 3 points, but I think right now the Bears are a better team than the Lions. I'm going to take the Bears in this. Jason, where are you?
I mean, Justin Fields was being compared. Michael Wilbon was comparing him to Gale Sayers and Walter Payton for the game he had against the Dolphins. Like,
consider the
chill
source
the fuck
here.
out here. I understand. I got to say, I know it's in Chicago, but I like the Lions in this spot. What do you got here?
Wow. Listen, I think both you guys went Packers last week, right? I went Lions. I had faith in them, and they held on. In this spot, oh boy, I think the Lions are going to. I mean, Lions should have put a ton of more points on the board. You guys know that. And the Bears' offense, you guys mentioned, fantastic last week, especially Fields running the ball. Tough game here. I really think I'm going to. I really kind of like the over in this game, but I am going to lean towards the Bears. Lions got that win last week. That was nice. But now going to Chicago, give me the Bears.
All right. Colts +6.5 at Raiders. I only put this in here because the Colts got Jeff Saturday as their interim coach. They're kind of a shit show right now, and the Raiders the Raiders aren't a great team, but I'm going to take any team getting less than a touchdown against the Colts right now at home. And I really like this game. I want the Raiders. Jason, where are you?
Jim Irsay is the closest thing to a Rube owner. Like, that's exactly like some shit I would do.
You'd be like, Barry Sanders, you're the coach. Yeah,
Kelvin Johnson and Barry, you're going to call this shit show. You guys get out of here and pack your stuff. This game is, I don't even know what to make of this game, but I got to tell you what, the Raiders are really, really bad. Is Jonathan Taylor going to play in this game, Harry? Do you know?
I don't know. As of right now, I didn't see anything yet.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Colts and the points.
Wow.
What do you got, Harry?
I know. their offense is really bad. That was one of the worst performances offensively, I think, since like 1975. I thought I saw on ESPN last week against the Patriots offensively by the Colts. But, boy, Raiders jumped out ahead early. They looked good. Carr looked good. He was hitting up Devontae Adams. It looked like they were back in their college days at Fresno. But then it just tanks again for the Raiders. I think I'm going to take the Colts. I don't like this game at all. It's great. It's insane, though. It's insane to take the Raiders and have to lay 6.5. I can't do it.
Well, okay, and then now I don't feel so good about my pick.
Well, it's a fade anyway. You're not going to play this game, are you?
Probably
Is
not.
anyone?
You can't play the NFL when you can't trust the Bill. Like, I'm surprised they even put NFL lines out there. I mean, you can't play the NFL. You can't trust the Bills to beat the Jets. The NFL should just cancel gambling.
Take the points.
Yeah. Vikings plus 6.5 at Bills. The Vikings are going to run away with this division here. They are running away with this division. But do the Bills bounce back? There's questions about the health of what's his nuts? The Bills quarterback.
Bill Jenkins.
Thanks, you asshole. Josh Allen.
I like how I'm the asshole. He hosts a sports show and can't remember Josh Allen.
Sorry. This is the guy who wanted to trade for Matt Stafford a few years ago.
Yeah.
I really this is interesting because the Bills do a thing where if you panic and they get ahead on you, they tend to really squeeze the life out of you. I don't know that that'll happen with the Vikings. I'm not going to bet this game, but give me the Vikings at plus 6.5 for our purposes here. Jason, where are you?
I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, we don't know about Allen, but I think the Vikings have enough weapons to be competitive in this game. I mean, I don't know if Allen doesn't play, obviously, but even if he does play, I like the Vikings plus 6.5. What do you got here?
Yeah, I'm very concerned about this injury with Josh Allen and the Vikings. My boy Captain Kirk Cousins, just keeps getting it done. Hawkinson was a huge integral part in that game, in that comeback win against Washington. I believe he had 9 catches for almost 90 yards. He's going to be great on this team, and I'm going to keep rolling with the Vikings. I'm taking the 6.5, definitely.
All right. Last NFL game before the college games, Cowboys -5 at Green Bay. And this is, again, this is where, to me, you have to trust your eyes. Green Bay is just that bad. And the Cowboys are more than a touchdown better than them. I know it's on the road. It's all that stuff. I'm all over the Cowboys here. Jason, where are you?
I think this line is kind of low. I love the Cowboys -5. Talk me out of it, Harry.
No, you know what? I think it's low too, Jay. And but you know what? There's no rallying of the troops here for the Packers. I don't know how much these young guys, the receivers, I know they respect Aaron Rodgers. I don't know how much they like him, though. That's the thing. And just overall here, this Cowboys defense has been suffocating most weeks, and Green Bay can't put the ball in the end zone. I'm taking Dallas.
I mean, Green Bay, the players have to hate him, right? I mean, he's bitching and moaning about after every play. There's no way the wide receivers are happy to see Aaron Rodgers in the morning.
Well, you know what? Yeah, you see him bitching and moaning on the sidelines, especially in that game last week in Detroit. But you know what? The first interception off the face mask, but the second one in 4th down, the one that Hutchinson grabbed, he underthrew that terribly. That was all on him, both of them.
Yeah, no, it's he had at least 2 of them were his fault. I think here. All right, let's move to the college games here. Nebraska plus 29.5 at Michigan. Nebraska for a minute I thought was going to be, was going to hang in there, and they've sort of fallen on hard times. Is Michigan going to try to make a statement? I don't know. 29.5 is a big freaking number. I hate this line because I don't trust Nebraska, and I think Michigan's that much better.
We're not going to bust your kneecap if you're wrong. I mean,
give me the Wolverines, but I wouldn't bet this. That's just too many points, and I can't trust Michigan in the style that they play. Like, it's one of those games. If there are turnovers, Michigan could win this by 40, but it's a lot of points. I'll take Michigan here, but I don't feel good about it.
Too many points. Give me Nebraska plus 29 and a hook. What do you got, Harry?
Well, Rutgers was giving Michigan a little bit of a game into the third quarter last week when I took Rutgers, but then Michigan blew them out of the building after that. So, yeah, I'm going to take Michigan. They keep rolling. Corum, I think, has a big game. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you're looking at the Heisman, I know Hooker took a hit last week. Stroud weather-wise in Northwestern. It was awful weather, so his stats were not great. That's for sure, only 76 yards passing. If you like Michigan to beat Ohio State, Corum I've seen out there at like 12-1 for Heisman. Maybe he runs it up here in this week, has a big game, has a nice game against Ohio State. I'm kind of looking at him for Heisman.
All right. Next game here is Purdue plus 6.5 at Illinois. Put this on there just because we're familiar with Illinois. Illinois still getting the love. Is a 6.5-point favorite at home. I do think they bounce back. Like, I think Illinois is actually not bad, and I think Purdue's pretty one-dimensional. They've got to throw the ball. Illinois, I know.
So what's the one dimension?
Purdue likes to pass.
No,
pass the ball. And give me inside of a touchdown here. I don't love this, but give me Illinois. Jason, where are you?
After that game against Iowa, Purdue is complete ass. I mean, I can't take Purdue, right?
Yeah.
Give me Illinois at home. What do you got, Harry?
Yeah, you know what, guys? Last week, early morning, that was my game. I had that Iowa game under. I loved it against with Purdue. And Purdue's offense, boy, they were just invisible. They couldn't get anything going. But, again, Illinois, double-digit favorite, like 16-17, loses straight up to you guys Spartans. This is a tough spot here for both. But I'm gonna lean towards Illinois still here because this Purdue offense just can't find itself.
By the way, the college football playoff rankings released tonight. Michigan is number 3, Ohio State 2, Georgia 1, TCU 4. All this stuff gets more interesting, though, because obviously Ohio State and Michigan have to play each other, right? So that somebody gets a loss there, and then there's a whole different discussion. Rutgers plus 10.5 at MSU. MSU back as a 10.5-point favorite. I think if anything says Michigan State football is back, it's being a 10.5-point favorite at home. This is hard for me because I do not think that Michigan State necessarily owns the line of scrimmage in this game. And if you don't own the line of scrimmage in a game, being a double-digit favorite is tricky. I do think they've got better playmakers, better quarterback play. I think they're a little bit more of a seasoned team, but you're 2 4-5 teams, and one of them's getting 10.5 points. Maybe Michigan State's just found something. They've been a lot better defensively, but 10.5 for a Michigan State team that really has not scored more than 23 points in regulation against a Power 5 team is just too many for me. I would advise Rutgers here. I'm obviously not betting this game, but Jason, where are you?
There's no scenario available that I will take Michigan State and lay over 10.5 points. So 10 points exactly, but give me Rutgers. What do you got, Harry?
You know what? That was a nice game Michigan State, we just mentioned, played last week. And I don't know what Rutgers has here left in the season. Give me the Spartans. I'll take them.
All right. Well, Harry's on the Spartans. You gained some fans here, Harry. Yeah. TCU plus 7 at Texas. This is an interesting game. TCU's getting 7 at Texas, and TCU's unbeaten. And as long as they're unbeaten, they're going to be. I'm rooting for TCU because they're the team that got screwed in the very, very first playoffs when they were the team that had a real argument when they were number 5. Right. And I'd like to see them get through. You give it a TCU. I mean, their defense isn't great, but their offense is incredible. You give me plus 7 with this TCU team. Look, everybody's picking Texas. This is where they fall. Give me TCU plus 7. Jason, where are you?
Yeah, I can't deny that 7 points with TCU. I'm taking TCU. We got it, Harry.
Yeah, Graham, I think you're right. When TCU got screwed, they beat Iowa State the last week of the season by like 60, and they dropped from 4 to 6. And I think Ohio State got that 4th spot, and Ohio State went on to win the national championship. So they did get screwed there. And I'm not a Sark fan at all, but boy, I'll tell you what, this is the fishy line of the week by far. Texas, nice win last week too, holding on against Kansas State. I'm rooting for TCU too, but you know what? I'm taking Texas in the fishy line.
All right. I get it. The fishy line is not to be – you got to pay attention. You got to acknowledge it. You got to respect the fishy line. Okay, this last game we're going to do here might be my lock of the week. I'm putting it in every parlay I can find, which means it'll go horribly, so don't bet it. Wisconsin -1 at Iowa. Iowa is a better football team than Wisconsin because Iowa has one dominant unit. Their defense is legit. Wisconsin's just a so-so team across the board. Iowa's bad offensively, but Wisconsin's not good enough to make Iowa look completely dreadful. offensively. Iowa has one unit that they're going to squeeze the life out of Wisconsin here, I believe. I think Iowa gets this done, by 7 to 10 points, which in Iowa's terms is like a blowout. I mean, Iowa, that's like anybody else winning by 40. Give me Iowa here, and I absolutely love it. Jason, where are you?
This is a game that could get me to watch soccer. Not really, but, this is going to be complete ass. I like Iowa's D. Give me Iowa at home. What do you got here?
Yeah, I mean, down season, big time down season for Wisconsin. Iowa's defense was great last week against Purdue, and they actually found some passing game. The Petrus to the tight end worked last week, and I'm going to take Iowa as well. Yeah,
it feels too, it
feels too good.
It feels too good. I don't know what I was going to say there. Jason, do you have anything that's like for you? Do you have any can't miss parlay? Anything else you like this week?
I don't this week. No.
Okay. So for me, it's that for sure. Manchester City and the money line is a little rough at Brentford. Talking Premier League here, minus 833, but you can throw it into some stuff. I feel good about that. Brentford just lost today in the EFL Cup to a lower division team. Granted, they're not playing everybody. But if there is a game that I really, really like this week, and I usually don't mess with Crystal Palace on the road, I kind of like Crystal Palace. Again, they brought it home last week as a plus 310. They're plus 137 at Nottingham Forest. And then Leicester City, who's playing a lot better, plus 263 at West Ham. That's the game I probably like most. Leicester City, plus 263 at West Ham. I just plus money there on I just think those are pretty equal teams, and I know it's on the road, but give me Leicester City plus 263 this week. That's where I'm at, Harry, and of course throwing Iowa in everything I have.
I got to tell you, Graham, I did have a parlay on Saturday morning, with the soccer, and I was big in, and my best bet on Sunday was the Titans plus the points over the Chiefs. So I tied everything that I did with soccer to the to the Titans. My soccer, I went 3 for 3 Saturday morning.
Beautiful.
3 for 3. Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and Torquay United even pushed for a draw. We didn't win the money on it. Another game, Liverpool minus 414. Another thing to throw in the parlays at home against Southampton. I think they cover that.
Wait, what happened with that Torquay game? I totally forgot. What happened?
2-2. Amazing second half. They came back and tied it. They forced a replay against Derby County. It's just fantastic. Absolutely.
Jason, you missed it?
Jason did what? Yeah, I was at my hotel room in Illinois with the game fired up, right in Michigan State basketball, watching Torquay United versus Derby County. It was quite a morning.
Tremendous, Graham. Jason, you missed out. I can't believe it.
Harry, you are a beautiful man. We will talk to you next week.
Take care, guys.
Thanks, Harry.
That is our Hopcat interview of the week, presented, of course, by our friends at Hopcat. Go to hopcat.com to see the location nearest you. And if you've never tried the Peyton Thorne burger, it's worth your time. It's a really good burger. Their cosmic fries are unbelievable. There's a reason they were originally called crack fries. Again, hopcat.com to find the Hopcat location nearest you. And they have one right here in East Lansing if you live in the Lansing area. But they've got them all over the state. We're going to come back and we're going to dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Couch in the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis.
Hopcat exists at the intersection of great beer and delicious food, complemented by music, art, community, and comfort. Home to a best-in-class beer experience served by craft beer experts. Guests can expect a casual, inviting local gathering place with some of the best damn burgers and fries you'll find in Michigan. Hopcat is proud to be an official sponsor of Peyton Thorne. Show your Spartan pride by ordering the iconic Peyton Thorne burger, created by the man himself. There is no better place to watch any Michigan State game other than the 50-yard line at Spartan Stadium. Stop by any of our locations: East Lansing, Detroit, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, Kalamazoo, and Holland. To plan your next trip to Hopcat, visit hopcat.com. If you're looking for a relaxed vibe, great food, and an outstanding beer selection, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing is your place. Enjoy their famed chicken and waffle fries, fish and chips, or any of their delicious burgers or salads. Midtown Brewing Company also offers 40-plus beers on tap, including ciders and seasonal offerings and daily happy hour specials. The spacious and cozy vibe makes Midtown Brewing Company a perfect place for a beer with a friend, a work lunch, or to watch the games on its big screen TVs. If you'd rather eat at home, Midtown Brewing Company offers a terrific carryout menu and free delivery on orders of $20 or more. Visit MidtownBrewingCompany.net or stop by 402 South Washington in downtown Lansing for the Midtown Brewing Company experience. Ever wondered just how comfortable you can be? Find out with Muskox high-quality flannels. Muskox is a Detroit-based company that creates durable comfort that'll last a lifetime. Muskox flannels are thoughtfully designed with 100% cotton that is ethically sourced and double brushed for softness. This will be the softest flannel you'll ever buy, guaranteed. For every $100 purchase, Muskox will donate $10 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. Get comfortable this fall and winter with Muskox flannels. Learn more or order yours today at gomuskox.com.
When it's your moment, that once-in-a-lifetime moment, you don't just want jewelry. You can get that anywhere. You want a memory that will go down in history, your moment. We're Medawar, crafted with exquisite style, quality, and love, so your present will be stunning every time you look at it, every time someone notices it, and they will notice. We've devoted our lives to this art, and we're proud to share it with you. The gift you want to give is here.
Medawar Jewelers in Lansing, Okemos, Jackson, Portage, and Brighton.
Find our live stream, podcast archives, as well as show, affiliate, and sponsorship information at our website, spotlightmediastudios.com.
Couch in the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, which has a new store opening this Thursday in Grand Rapids. Enjoyed the grand opening with them. And anytime you want to go to Skymint, anywhere in the state, go to skymint.com, look up the location. Chances are you live very close to one. And in a lot of communities, Skymint will deliver your cannabis to you. You don't even have to go to the store. Also, our Tuesday night show brought to you by friends at Cask & Company and Front 43. And they are doing holiday meal kits again this Thanksgiving. So if you don't want to do any of the work, but you want an amazing meal, you can order it through Cask & Company. They've done this in years past. They do sell out usually, but go to caskandcompany.com. Place your order today. Lots of different options between like turkey, spiral ham, Nova Scotia salmon, all sorts of sides and desserts and cool things. And you pick it up November 23rd, which is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. And the next day, you've got your meal. Just minimal work, and you get an amazing Thanksgiving holiday meal from Cask & Company and Front 43. It is time now to dig into your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Jason, are you ready?
Yep. Eric Schultz up first. Have you noticed that Peyton Thorne does not want to throw over the middle of the field? Why do you think that is? Is it the play calling? You'd think with the big-bodied tight ends, it'd be a strength of ours, and it's just not utilized.
It's a good question. I have not asked Peyton, but they don't seem to go over the middle as much. And granted, their two best receivers are outside guys, although you would think that those are guys they could use over the middle. And Trey Mosley is a guy that they use over the middle. They use on the inside. It's a fair question. I don't know the answer. They don't seem to go over the middle a ton. I don't know if that's Peyton Thorne not wanting to or it's taking what's there, but it has not been asked. But perhaps it will be next time Peyton Thorne is available.
Dominic is next. Does Graham give bad news one piece at a time at home, too? The other day, we're actually going to only have 2 shows this week. And also, before I forget, only 2 shows for the rest of the month. Bruh, it's like Bill Lundberg and the Rube.
I apologize, Dominic. It's just a matter of blame MSU basketball. If those fucknuts weren't playing Friday night in a different state out west, we'd have a Thursday show. So it's really on
Lundberg.
It's really on MSU basketball.
Yeah. JD up next. Did shit just hit the fan for the tunnel incident?
David D. Diamond does not count as hitting the fan, but
Trip D's.
I do think we knew there's one more story out there, and
who's going to tell it?
Yeah. I mean, so we'll see. What I mean though is there's what happened to precipitate it, right? And then does Michigan need to? I mean, Michigan at some point needs to acknowledge, I think, that their logistical setup there, and they had some culpability in this. Like, if things have been run perfectly there and no player goes in the tunnel, this doesn't happen. That does not mean you should ever be in the situation Michigan State's players were. But Michigan does need to correct that. Whether they owe any other sort of acknowledgement depends on what is what actually comes out. And we'll see that when the police investigation is complete. I don't know that the police have actually talked to many of the players yet. I think that's going to take a little bit. So that's going to get a little dicey, too, in terms of how long are guys suspended. Originally, I know Alan Haller thought maybe this week the Big Ten would have an announcement in conjunction with the police investigation. I would be stunned if anything comes out this week. Could happen, but I would be surprised.
Bo McJunkins next. Graham, your thoughts on Tom Izzo's tunnel comments? He sums up the feelings of Spartan Nation well. We have no problem being held accountable, but we are tired of being the scapegoats and being treated differently by ESPN and other national outlets.
I told him that today, actually. I was like, you speak for the soul of the of Spartan Nation, and that's why they love you, man. Like,
Cockburn.
No, I thought they were fine. He did a nice job of saying things without getting himself in trouble, and I think he does. He had some good points, and he is somebody who can stick up for MSU. And there's no doubt that MSU has been taken some of it deserved, some of it not, but has taken an oversized brunt of criticism and hate from outside sources, even when it's not warranted. When it is warranted, and I think that's part of the reason people get annoyed. It takes away the credibility from when it is warranted, when people just hit you repeatedly. The Michigan thing is a little different. This is a rivalry, and Michigan has always played Michigan State a certain way in terms of the way they talk about them. I think it's more personal for Michigan now because Michigan feels Michigan State on their tails a little bit in the rivalry. They've won 10 of 15. They become relevant. They've been more than annoying. I think that leads to some of this. I thought he handled it well.
Andrew Gauthier next. Any repercussions for a coach insinuating that athletes are deliberately faking injuries to cheat, besides people calling him an asshole?
Yeah,
I think that's it. Calling you fat and calling you an asshole, that's all we get.
Because I don't think there need to be repercussions. You're just a sore loser. Lots of coaches do this. They're in the moment. It was a sore loser moment, and it's not great. It just makes you look stupid because you had a team that was 7-1 that couldn't beat a team missing 8 guys that was 3-5, and you think tempo was them faking injuries to interrupt your tempo? If you're a good football team, you should be able to win at the line of scrimmage like everybody else has against Michigan State, to the point that it really doesn't matter. And that's why it's
if you reprimand him, then coaches will never say anything interesting.
Right.
In a post-game press conference, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
you can't reprimand him. It's the way you feel. You should be allowed to speak your mind and how you feel. And look, it was a little bit accusatory, but and that's the way he felt. That he thought that was happening. Yeah, it was
a full-on accusation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get my lawyer. Neurotic Pants. Graham, do you think Mel Tucker really doesn't have clock awareness, or are these seemingly boneheaded fuck-ups actually indicative of a decision-making system that needs more development? I mean, even the worst college coach knows more about X's and O's and game plans for the average fan. So what's up with so many seemingly basic errors?
No, this is a fair question because they talked about communication and signaling errors. Peyton Thorne talked today about the wrong play being signaled in that didn't work with the formation they had. Like, it just wasn't going to work, and that's why they had to use a timeout. Like, that sort of stuff can't happen. Mel Tucker acknowledged that they've had some communication issues this season. So those are things that not only do they need to fix from week to week, but I think that they need to really look at in the offseason as they dissect and sort of do an introspective on their own program, because
communication issues, like what, his headset didn't work? Or?
No, just well, one of it was you signaling the wrong play, like they gave the wrong information, or however that's happening. I don't know.
That's not good.
You don't want this to become what partly defines your program, and so you got to get a handle on that.
PHBA next. Coordinators are producing a roller coaster of emotions this MSU season. Is Hazelton off the hot seat after 1.5 years of poor defense? Jay Johnson is competent now after a dismal game versus Michigan.
Well, I think part of it is it's never as simple as it looks. It's never. I mean, like the reaction is it's the reason that fans should never be allowed, or writers, or anybody who's not in the room where it's happening, so to speak, should never be allowed to make the decision on firing somebody. I'm not saying you can't criticize. I'm just saying because ultimately, look, this sport is fans are always going to have emotions. They should have emotions. If there's no emotion behind college football, if you didn't care week to week, if Scotty Hazelton's defense sucking didn't piss you off, then there wouldn't be the energy and the finances behind the sport for it to work. Like the fans and their emotions, and sometimes irrational or not fully informed emotions, are a big part of the sport. That's absolutely fine, as long as the head coach isn't on Twitter going, "Holy shit, Dominic thinks they should fire Hazelton. I'm going to get rid of Hazelton this week." That's not,
Is that David Ortiz, the head coach, or who was that?
It's my fucking city. No, that's not. It's not. Hazelton spoke today, by the way.
Boo.
And, he was pretty decent, because I asked him about whether, because one of the things I'm curious about is just how screwed they knew they were when Henderson and those guys went down and Slade, and they just didn't want to let it on. But I think it's not just Henderson. They think that a lot of guys have started to figure something out, and there was, it was going to take a minute. And obviously those injuries made it worse, and meant a lot of those guys were figuring it out on their own. But I am very curious to see if they can week to week continue to play well, because they do that the rest of the season with a fair number of young guys. And again, you're going to lose Xavier Henderson. You're probably going to lose Jacob Slade. While there are some concerns, I think maybe that's momentum that continues. There's a little bit of an identity being built, because Michigan State's got to get back to that. This program, it's got a defensive coach. These guys are all making a lot of money. Like, they've got to get back to, at some point, defense being a big part of their calling card the way it was under Mark D'Antonio, and it has just not been early in the Mel Tucker era.
To Uper next. Would Scotty Hazelton be where he is without that beard? Look at a picture of him beardless. He looks like an elementary school gym teacher. Have either of you ever grown a beard? How did it turn out?
You've had beards, right?
I mean, technically I have one. I don't know if you want to call it a beard. Sometimes I call it a beard.
Yeah, I've had multiple.
Doesn't connect in some places and kind of patchy.
I had a beard when I was like 25 for a little while. It wasn't great. It was kind of reddish. I didn't do well with women while I had it for a little bit, so I got rid of it.
But you're married now.
Yes, and I've had it. I had a beard during. I didn't shave for like 3 months during COVID at the beginning. I just kind of let everything go.
Where are those pictures at?
I'll send one out. There are a couple out there. I actually look decently okay because I had lost a little weight and I wasn't such a fast.
Isn't that funny how that works?
And the best thing about having a beard is if you're eating a groovy donut, it'll get stuck there. You find it later, and you've got. Speaking of groovy donuts, Groovy Donuts has Stars and Stripes Long Johns available this Friday through Sunday only in honor of Veterans Day. These look fantastic. Light, fluffy yeast donut topped with vanilla icing, blue sprinkles, field of stars, and red vanilla cream stripes. Everybody knows what a Long John is. Groovy Donuts does it better than anybody. And so the Stars and Stripes Long Johns are available this week, and you can pre-order those at groovydonuts.com or just swing by either location on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston.
Long John donuts are so good. The Gluten Weasel next. Would MSU be able to at least lower Hazelton's and Jay Johnson's guaranteed salary? The trajectory for both units has gotten better, but they aren't worth $1 million. They could earn back the deducted salary by hitting certain metrics, like not being dead last in total defense.
You can't cut your coach's salaries because then
they did it to Harbaugh.
Well, the head coach, that's a little different. Like if he's making exorbitant
I think it would
money,
be easier to do it to an assistant.
The problem is you'd be better off just getting rid of the assistant and hiring somebody else in at that salary. If it's going to be hard to recruit really good assistants down the road if there's the idea that your salary that you're brought in at might be lowered if things don't go particularly well because you've got a young team. That would be the argument.
I'm not saying you have to deduct $1,000 here and there, but if it's a terrible season, there's question marks, or I wouldn't have an issue with lowering an assistant salary before a head coach.
What do you get out of it? You bring back the swim and dive program, I guess? I don't know.
Hopefully.
Yeah, but you could put it that way. You could say to Scotty, hey, we're going to take this much off your contract. If you're willing to do that, the swimmers and divers get to have their program. Otherwise, no, I'm just kidding. We'll fix this in post. That wasn't even a fun joke. That seems like an ass move. I'm sorry for bringing it up.
That was Graham Couch, by the way. I want to separate myself from that. Gavin, next. Does this MSU football season compare to the 2020 season? Up and down quarterback play, good receivers, below average run game, shaky offensive line play, and an inconsistent defense.
No. So I don't think anything ever compares to the 2020 season. I mean, there could be elements on the field here and there, but that was such a weird year. There was zero legitimate practice that went into the beginning of that year. The offseason workouts weren't what they were. Everything was simplified offensively and defensively. It was just hard to have a season. They were trying to have a season for television revenue. It's the only reason they had a season. There were no fans in the stands, obviously. I see what you mean on the field, but I just think that the circumstances are really different now than they were then. And I think MSU's got better QB play, got a better quarterback. I know Rocky Lombardi had an amazing game against Michigan. I just think it's a fairly different thing. And Jeff Hewer just wrote in. He said, "How does lowering the salary solve anything?" Yeah, and I tend to just get rid of the guy if you don't want him and bring somebody else in at the new salary. You either want somebody or not. Lowering his salary does not make the offense or defense better next year.
Chicago Spartan next. Any possible way you could get Sky Mint, Musk Ox, and Groovy Donuts to cook up a name, image, and likeness offer so large that Xavier Henderson can't refuse, and he returns for one more season?
That's the play. It is, and I know they got some young safeties they love, but
flannel and weed and some donuts.
Yeah,
come on back now.
Yeah, they could set up something where if you purchase this, a portion goes towards an NIL, or they could just, it's not going to happen, but it's
promo code
thought.
Get Baked. Get Baked to bring Xavier back. Mike from Connecticut. Is MSU's lack of depth at running back and kicker next year a cause for concern? Side note, feel free to use cause for concern in your next LSJ column headline to further the cause movement.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Instead of boo, boo, call.
No? I think the kicker is they need to figure out the kicker position. And those guys all have eligibility remaining. Jack Stone's a scholarship guy. That's Jack. And so you have to figure out if he's going to be the guy. If not, you got to bring somebody else in. You got to solidify that. Running back, I don't know that it's an issue. I mean, obviously you're going to lose Elijah Collins. Both the other two guys could return if they want to. I don't. You just got to make sure. And running backs are easier to get as freshmen too. It's easier to get in the transfer portal. Clearly, Kenneth Walker, Jalen Berger, Jarek Broussard. Those are diva positions, and you're always going to be able to find guys there. And so I don't think the running back thing is a huge issue.
Jeff Zyla next. Who's MSU quarterback going to be next year?
Let me ask you that. Who do you think MSU's quarterback is next year?
I have no idea. None.
I mean, the money, if you were to put the betting line out there on this.
Now we're talking.
Peyton Thorne would obviously be the favorite. He would be like
if he doesn't transfer
5-1, right?
Okay.
But and I think that the idea that Caton Hauser would jump both those guys is unlikely. But I do think, first of all, these guys only get so much time in the program, especially Noah Kim. Like, every offseason should be a competition. Like, Peyton Thorne should have to continue being better than those guys to start, naturally, obviously. I think, if you ask me right now, I think Thorne comes back next year and probably wins the job. And, and the hope for MSU fans is that he continues to develop and takes the steps that he hasn't always taken this year. I think this last few games for him will be interesting, too. He played well at Illinois. Offensive line played a little better. They got more manageable opponents. Like, does he have a couple games where he really looks locked in? The first game he ever played at Penn State in 2020 was the first time I really thought that guy might be the quarterback for them for the future. Could he have a game somewhere where he goes into Happy Valley and leads them to a victory? Keep on, you're not always going to have a perfect quarterback in college, but can he be a really good one? And he's just been okay this year. And if he's just going to be okay, then they got to also look at other guys in this offseason.
G.E. Miller
next. Is MSU's pursuit of Dante Moore a sign of lack of faith in Hauser?
No, I think you bring in somebody just every year. I mean, you try and get the best quarterback you can. That said,
He's a 5-star, right?
Yeah, I mean, you do have to manage things a little different than in previous times because these guys can transfer easily. And nobody, like if you get Dante Moore and you have Caton Hauser, one of those guys will transfer eventually at some point. And you just have to know that and be okay with it, and I think people are. But it is funny that there's all this excitement right now about the idea that Dante Moore could wind up at MSU from Oregon when I thought everybody had said Caton Hauser was the Messiah. Not Messiah DeWeaver, but the next Messiah. You know, then what the fuck do you need Dante Moore for if you got the Messiah already? That's my only point. But
we're dropping MFers now?
But in this new day and age, I think how you craft a quarterback room is tricky. I don't know that you always want two really heralded guys on top of each other class after class. The flip side of that is some of these guys don't develop even when they're real heralded, and you just let it play out, and somebody's going to leave, and so be it.
J.A. Riemann-Schneider next. You had a hot take saying Michigan's non-conference schedule could be their undoing. With that said, would you be surprised to see Michigan at number 2 tonight ahead of Ohio State? Because I would not.
No, I wouldn't have been stunned, although obviously they wound up at number 3. I think the bigger thing is when those two teams play, if Michigan has one loss, if Michigan wins the game, then that settles that. But if Michigan has a loss, how do they rank against other one-loss teams? And that's where I think that schedule is potentially going to come back to bite them.
Ron Quixote next. After one MSU basketball game, what is your boldest prediction for the season that actually you think could come true? Could be for the team or an individual.
This is a really good question. If we
after just one game,
yeah, and so if we were doing a show later in this week, this would be the Hopcat question of the day, maybe from Ron here. Boldest thing that I would say is Tyson Walker, Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year. Joey Hauser leads Michigan State in scoring. Those would be my two bold thoughts. And obviously, those two things are based on evidence against Northern Arizona in one game. I think Hauser looks like a guy who's willing to shoot, who's got a lot of skill, and I think he's going to have a number of games this year where he scores in the upper teens and low 20s, and he's going to be more consistent as a points producer than some other guys. I think he leads Michigan State in scoring, and Tyson Walker was the most impressive thing on the court for me last night. Really was. I mean, I love pickup basketball. I'm a delusional player. I don't watch any other sport and think I could hang out there at a high level. And even when I can't, I just want to be out there playing. If Tyson Walker was guarding me, I would freaking piss my pants. And he would just take the ball from me. Yeah, it is gross. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that like that. But in other words, he was just so aggressive with all over the place, so quick. He came all the way back, and he didn't get credit for the block, but he effected a shot after what should have been a fast break bucket the other way. I think Walker has a chance to. He looks like a guy who's just incredibly comfortable out there. They need him to score. They need him to do a lot of things offensively. Didn't have a great shooting night last night, but I think his defense has a chance to really be something, and something that is noticed throughout the Big Ten.
Eric Larson up next. Considering all the concern this year for MSU at the 5 position, what % do you think they end the season better, similar, or worse at center? One Hoops game in, how do we feel about this bra bet?
I feel okay. I feel pretty good, actually. I think, though,
you should.
Yeah.
I guess, after an 18-point win.
Yeah, and they look decent doing it. I thought they played pretty well at times. To the question about whether they'll look better, similar, or worse at the 5 than they did, I guess, yesterday. I'm a little concerned about what you mean there, Eric. But I think, obviously you're counting on a true freshman is part of the equation. He's only going to grow into things. I think the player you see right now from Carson Cooper and from fuck me, man. Why is my name struggling? This is why Eric's podcast, The Final Four, is not on the schedule. Is
From
better
Detroit
than this one.
down to Houston.
Need some Hoff or some lads?
And New York to L.A. Well, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say...
Jackson Kohler, thank you. Jesus. That's ridiculous. People are throwing things at the phone. I have brain freeze. But there's no way he's not better by the end of the year than he is now. Matty Sissoko, I don't know. I don't know what his ceiling is. He's going to play more and more. But I think they'll be better than they are now at the 5. The question is, are they going to be good enough? And I just don't think we're going to know that. Even early on here, like if they are good enough against Gonzaga and Drew Timme and against Kentucky, who may or may not be without their big man, we'll see what happens there. And they're good early, then yes, they may prove they're good enough. But they could not be good enough early and still develop into a group that can hang in there as the Big Ten happens and beyond.
Plus size softball dad. Next.
Was that as painful as it felt for me to get through that last question?
I don't know. I zoned out.
It's a good question, and I just totally fucked it. Apologies, Eric.
Yeah. Plus size softball dad. Have you started looking for a Manzier after last night? 18 wins tops.
Nah, screw that. I'm safe. I'm safe. But don't get me wrong. I mean, I will if things start to go bad, I will be doing like 200 push-ups a day, just to try not to look like.
Or you could do
flabby.
a whole show as David Ortiz.
It's a fucking city. I couldn't even answer one question like that. I mean, like, Jackson Kohler, man. I can't do it.
You were on your way.
I know.
Kirk Cousins Chains next. What do you make of Izzo's comments on the tunnel incident? Is there more info he's not able to disclose?
No, because, I mean, Mel Tucker only knows so much. They know what the videos were there, and they may have an idea about something, but I don't think Izzo knows 100%. I thought Izzo's comments were fair. I thought he stuck up for his school. He didn't go too far. He basically said that the players had no excuse for what they were doing, but that he didn't like the way Michigan's behavior was. And frankly, Izzo, more than anybody, has credibility when it comes to years of Michigan's behavior. Like, he was there when Jalen Rose and Juwan Howard and those guys, whatever, I don't want to put everybody, I can't remember all of them, but, wiped their ass on the Spartan S. He recruited against Michigan when they were cheating against him. He has been a part of that rivalry and has feelings about it and sees certain behaviors and attitudes and can recognize it instantly in guys like a Jim Harbaugh, who he's known for a long time. Jim Harbaugh, Tom Crean's in-law, right? And they've known forever. And so I think Izzo has credibility on that, and I thought he did it well.
Spartan 18778. What? Oh,
I probably fucked up. I think it's 0.
I can't vote by phone for fear of ID fraud, but I can make a $100,000 bet on the same phone.
Yeah, it is interesting.
I mean, if you saw the setup this morning in Ovid, you're telling me that we can't figure out some sort of technology that's
stronger than that,
safer than that? I mean,
especially with me being the new county commissioner. I don't
I mean, it feels like you could just open that machine if you wanted to, that you put your ballot in if you really.
Yeah, they have people watching.
It's 2022, though.
Yeah. I felt pretty good about the situation. There was a poll watcher at our poll today. There was like a guy, he didn't have like a machine gun, but like a guy who, he's not that kind of poll watcher.
Oh.
Like a guy like who's sitting there, a poll contester. He's like there to like keep an eye on you and make sure you're not, doing weird shit. Yeah, it's ass.
God. All right. Gideon next. You'd seriously name your kid Loftus Cheek Couch? Jesus Christ, Graham, you need to lay off the soccer for a week.
I just like the name Loftus Cheek. Now that I think about it, Loftus Cheek Couch doesn't work. I don't even have.
You're not going to even have a say.
I have zero
in the kid's
say.
Name anyway.
I have pitched like 7 or 8 different names I think would be cool, and I've every single one shut down. She won't even, not even like relatives that I think like grandfather, dad. My wife's going to be in total control of this, and so Tyrone Couch will never actually happen.
Sports guy 1919. Going to Vegas in a few weeks and found out U.S. Soccer is playing that Monday against Wales. I will probably be drunk and making an irresponsible bet. Graham, any insight?
If it's a one-off, you just bet a lot of money on the U.S. on the money line because they'll probably be plus money on the money line. What that means is a tie, you lose, right? In soccer, it's kind of weird. You can bet a draw, no bet, or you can bet a double chance, which means you can, draw or win or tie. But mostly when it says a money line in soccer, it's not like a money line in football. If it's like plus 180, they've got to actually win the game in regulation. They can't tie and so the money will be decent. You're going to want to root for the U.S. And I would just put $100 on the U.S. and have fun with it. Now, to play it right, I think the U.S. will have a lot of the betting market, and I do think the value might be on Wales. And the U.S. has not always looked good. The value might be on Wales. So if you're looking to make money, I would bet Wales and be the drunk Welshman in the sports book having fun.
Matt Venny next. In the spirit of winning the Powerball jackpot, how much money would each of you need to receive to consider it FU money, but also to keep the show running?
Oh, that's a needle to thread. Needle to thread.
$5,000.
That's FU money to you? Like keeps the show running?
Yeah.
FU money to me is $1.8 million. That's all I need. And I would keep doing the show for $1.8 million. Because I figured I could just stop working at 1.8.
But why not just
$2
million?
$2 million. Fine. $2 million is FU money. Because I don't need to be rich. I just need to have enough money not to have to work ever again. And I would keep doing the show at $2 million because it'd be fun. I'd have none of the other stresses in my life, so this would be easy. And it would be, $2 million would be my FU money amount. I'd probably, you know what I also would do? I'd buy into Groovy Donuts. Yeah.
Maybe, do they want you or?
I don't know. I haven't asked Andrew and Monica about that.
Looks like it's going pretty well. They got a couple stores.
They might not need me. And by the way, if you are looking to have a tailgate this weekend for the Rutgers game or the Indiana game, Groovy Donuts can add to that tailgate tremendously. They'll do specialty donuts like you want, Spartan footballs, or you want Hoosiers on them, or you want whatever. You want Scotty Hazelton's beard on a donut. They will do it. You can have your donuts at home. Pick up a half dozen, bring home, watch the game, add Groovy Donuts to your football Saturday. Groovy Donuts, and by the way, Groovy Donuts and Sky Mint, awesome combination. But go to groovydonuts.com or either location on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or also in Williamston. Make Groovy Donuts part of your football weekend.
Mojo Jojo next. Why did it take so long to get folks to think of college players as needing to be compensated, especially since the NFL and NBA have used college athletics as a minor league for decades?
Yeah, because the NCAA didn't want it, and we all bought into it. And I think it's the people didn't think of it. It was just we accepted the way the NCAA was. It
was greed on their side, and they didn't want to give up any money until they got hard pressed on it.
Yeah, and the idea of players getting paid was cheating. It was awful. It was like, oh my God, can you believe it? And we all bought into it. I mean, and part of it is we all liked it too. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like this more in terms of my enjoyment of the sport. I don't like that the transfer portal and NIL is crippled mid-major basketball. I hate that shit. I'll watch more soccer because of it. And I think there are things they have to look at. I think the transfer thing is a bigger issue than NIL, but the NIL and the recruiting space, and we'll see what that looks like. I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch. I think the idea of paying players with a more formal compensation model, which could happen from television revenue or something like that, and some of the major conferences could get really interesting. But all that stuff is, it's just weird. Like this purity clause that we had forever, I don't really get it. But I was part of it. I mean, I bought in, fucking Josh Jackson's cheating down there in Kansas with his mom, he's making some extra cash.
Who is that?
I don't know. That's me as a reporter? Fucking man. I don't fuck.
He got it. Take it. The couch on fire. Shouldn't Walker be Izzo's favorite? Undersized and ferocious like a piranha, is he?
I think Izzo does like Walker. I mean, I saw him today in practice with his, talking to him, put his arm around him. They walked off the halftime together. I think he high-five or low-fived him with a lot of energy at one point after Walker knocked the ball out of bounds. I think Izzo likes Tyson Walker a whole lot.
Call me Al. Next. Assuming there was chirping in the tunnel pre-fight, what is the off-the-record story on what was said? And Graham, does that muskox flannel keep you warm while watching your wife shovel snow?
It does. It's great for that. While your spouse is out there doing the work, you sit there with a little cocoa and a muskox flannel. It's fantastic. You're going to go muskox.com, order yours. Again, the Couch in the Roof promo code CAW15 for $15 off. The off-the-record story stuff, I hear little whispers of things. I do not have anything solid enough on or off the record that I would begin to share here. I mean, I will say this. I would be surprised if something more than just smack talk didn't precipitate somebody wailing on somebody with a helmet, because that just seems like logic, right? It seems, but the things I have heard are not from places that I feel are they're not direct. They're not, there's a certain level, even like there are things that I will say here that I will not write yet. It's a little different, but they have to be something I feel solidly before I will say it here, and I don't have that.
Dark Mantonio next. Who would benefit more from having their predecessor on staff? Juwan with Beeline or Tucker with D'Antonio?
Who's better off? Beeline?
Yes, Juwan and Beeline.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think.
Just the way it ended. I mean, D'Antonio gets to come around and be acknowledged and still respected, but you don't want to. Why do it?
Yeah, I mean, if he could be your defensive backs coach and around and do something, maybe, but he's great at that. But yeah, Beeline.
His life's too good. He looks healthy now.
Beeline is an offensive mind. I would say would be the choice there.
BPA next. We know about your terrible takes, but was Rube's desire to fire Hazelton after week 3 one of his worst?
Well, first of all, he wasn't alone. I do recall. I mean, most of the hot takes were about firing Hazelton after week 3.
I've had worse. I'm guessing.
Well, yeah, you've had.
Can't think of any off the top of my head, but yeah, everybody was saying the same thing. BPA, were you not? I mean, maybe you weren't, but other than that, I wasn't alone in that.
You were not alone.
No. Scott Kulka next. Hey, guys. MSU women's soccer team is ranked number 6. At what point does Mel have an open invite to the team to see who can kick an extra point? And do you keep Jay Johnson another year or 2 if you can flip Dante Moore from the Ducks?
I don't know how much. I mean, if Jay Johnson's a big part of that, then this is one of the things you have to consider. Number one is again, I don't know that any of these coaches are going to be let go. I don't know what the staff will look like next year. But one of the things Mel Tucker definitely has to consider is when recruiting is the main thing right now, what players are tied to which assistants? If you lose an assistant, do you lose players? And I think that's an important thing. So that's definitely something to consider. Like the men's soccer team, there are lots of guys out there who can kick, and were kickers probably in high school. It's just a different deal. Like Jack Stone is a hell of a high school kicker. It's just not working right now. I think they need to figure that out. And I don't know. It would be fun to see as a storyline, but I don't. But the first time they went wide right to lose a game, people will be hating on some women's soccer player who otherwise had a great year. So I think you stick it with you keep.
And I'm sure opposing teams' fans would not bring it up whatsoever.
Well, but that's yeah.
Right. Kevin Cake Lee, not a question, but didn't make the hot takes cut. Jason has an open invite if he's ever on the west side of the state for No Limit Hold'em and tournament cash or No Limit Hold'em tournaments and cash games. Why did you leave that out of the hot takes? You don't want me to play poker?
I don't remember leaving it out. Sunday is a blur. It was a late night and a long show. It was
how west do I have to go, Kevin? You should send a limo for me because I haven't played in so long. You guys are going to take my money. So it'd be beneficial for you guys to have me there. Cucker Tarleson next. I'll be playing in the pit of Legally Blonde in a couple weeks. Graham, are you a fan of said musical? Also, why do soccer players get immaculate movie theater seating on the sideline, but every U.S. sport just gives them a foldable chair or a steel bench?
It's a great point. Not every soccer pitch is like that, but you do see a lot of guys in like these recliners. Like it looks incredible. It's like
NBA guys and college basketball players have those in their locker room, but
it's true. But it's not during the game. But a lot of them it's because they're not going to play at all. Like the other thing is, it's not like you sit there. The guys who are on the bench a lot of times in certain places don't get it, but the guys who are you may not play. You may just be watching for 90 minutes. So that's why it's a little different. It's not like you come in and out like you do in a basketball game. I have never seen Legally Blonde, the musical. I would like to at some point. I like Legally Blonde, the movie, naturally, as you can imagine. I like Reese Witherspoon.
No kidding.
Yeah, right. And so, but props to you. And what instrument do you play, Cucker? I'd love to know more.
Lastly, Upper Deck Jerk Guy. If you were born deaf, what language do you think in?
Jason, do you think Bill Beekman,
something like that?
I want to be careful not to be insensitive here.
Oh, shut up! It's people that are deaf. I mean, it's not whose fault it is. It's actually a really good question.
It is a good question. I would love to know that.
I know you see that and just automatically get offended, but I read it and I go, man, that's really an interesting question.
I'm not offended. I'm worried about what we'll say being offensive. I'm not offended by the question. The question's a good question. don't know, French? I don't know. And like, it's a good question. I mean, sign. It's.
You can read.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, this is fascinating. My sister can sign, and she deals with people with hearing impairments all the time, and cochlear implants, and fuck, I don't know where this is going. This is the end of the show, and I'm just rambling about people with cochlear implants. Thank you all for your Groovy Donut Twitter questions. Fantastic stuff. We appreciate you helping to produce our show. We appreciate Groovy Donuts. Go to groovydonuts.com or stop by either location in East Lansing on Lake Lansing Road or in Williamston. You can order yours today and enjoy. Make Groovy Donuts part of your weekend. We appreciate Hopcat, of course, and Hopcat all over the state, East Lansing, Grand Rapids, Ann Arbor, everywhere, Hopcats. We also appreciate Skymint. And again, Skymint opening a new store in Grand Rapids this Thursday, November 10th. And, of course, Front 43 and Cask & Company. Great place to watch the games this weekend. Friday night, Saturday night, MSU game day specials, all sorts of cool stuff. We'll be back Sunday night. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.